Hey there, this is Steven, your Hardship Real Estate Pro, here again on the YouTube channel. I have another guest today, and you know how it is with me in the introductions. I am just going to go ahead and pass the baton to today's guest. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Hi, my name is Suzy Larson. I own Suzy Senior Companionship Services. We service seniors and vets and people with disabilities from Salt Lake County all the way up to the border of Utah. And we've gone into Preston, Idaho, as well as Duchesne, Daggett, and Uintah counties. We do a lot of in-home services like homemaking, laundry, meal prep, respite care, and personal care, as well as transportation. Transportation has become a big arm of what we do, where we transport people either through medical or non-medical appointments.
I've seen some of your vans in Bountiful. So maybe talk a little bit about the transportation part of the business. As you say, it's the biggest part.
Sure. How we got in, we've always done transportation, but the UTA, I've gotten a grant through UTA, and UTA has been a great avenue for us to be able to get some vehicles through them. A lot of the vehicles we've just purchased over the years we've been doing this. We've been in business now 12 years. I started this company in 2012 as for profit. In 2019, transitioned it over to nonprofit because I could see the need in this industry where there's so many individuals that are too rich for the poor, too poor for the rich. And they fall in that category where no one will help them. And I wanted an organization that we helped and served everyone who called us. Transportation's become a big arm. We've gotten a couple of contracts with a couple of insurance agencies, as well as some local, like IH, has come to us with needs of transporting. The biggest need in our community is transportation that helps people in wheelchairs. That's where I feel very fortunate because our wheelchairs are donated, or a portion of it is donated. It helps me keep my costs down. Where a lot of these organizations that do transportation with wheelchairs, their fee is so expensive, which I totally get, because those wheelchair vans run anywhere between 75 to $100,000 a van.
You are definitely a locally owned business that you it sounds like you started from scratch and you've been doing it for more than a decade, and that your business is not an out of state franchise, which is actually unique nowadays within the senior space. I think is actually pretty relevant. If we hear a little bit of how you started Susie's Companionship in 2012 and what that looked like for you, what it meant, like how it started, and yeah, just talk a little bit about that journey.
Absolutely. My family is from England, and my parents are divorced, and my grandmother was alive at that time. She was 96 years old. And my dad lived in Arizona, and my aunt was her caregiver, but my aunt passed away from cancer. And so I was the lucky one to be able to take care of my grandmother until she passed away. And it was the funnest thing I did. My kids absolutely loved it. My husband, being a physical therapist, knew the need in the community because he serves a lot of individuals in this age group I do with physical therapy, outpatient physical therapy. And he said, Susie, have you ever thought about starting a business? And I thought, yeah. My first year, it was me and one client. Within 3 years, we had 30. We had 3 employees, and now we have over 110. We serve about 1,000 clients a month.
Wow, we talked about the transportation side, but obviously there's so much more to your business, and you said it so quickly. I want to make sure we don't miss some of the other things that you're doing for those thousand. That you said 1,000 clients a month. What other things you're doing in the home? Tell us about those things you're doing in the home with these
Okay.
clients.
Absolutely. So the big part of what we do is homemaking. We're not your like professional housekeepers. We're just your daily maintenance housekeeping, where we go in and we help just clean up the bathroom, sweep, mop, vacuum, minimal dusting, and then personal care, with which is either helping with showering, brief changes, and then we also do help with laundry. We help with making meals, pill reminders. And then there's those occasions where we're seeing a huge influx in number with individuals who have Alzheimer's or dementia that can't be left alone. But, the family member needs a break. And so they call us to have us come in and help fill in that gap so that they can go. And I always say to refill their cup. And then we hang out there with their family member, help keep them safe. And so, yes, that's a big part of what we do as well.
You said the word companionship. One of the things that I think is, I don't know if epidemic is the right word, but I think it's a big problem within the space with their senior citizens, especially with widows is there's a lot of loneliness in that space. It's a ton of loneliness. And I would imagine the daily visits are probably one of the unspoken benefits to your clients is the fact that someone comes into that home and they get that someone's in there that talks to them every day. Because there are still so many people, and I'm just talking about here in Utah, along the Wasatch Front, that live in these big houses all by themselves day to day.
Absolutely. We also take care of a lot of individuals. It's called the New Choice Waiver. It's a Medicaid atypical program. And so we service a lot of people who live in actually assisted livings that are extremely on the poverty level. And so Medicaid, which is a great program where they allow us to come in and help with either companionship or transportation. And I love this program because it allows these individuals to get outside their care center. Some of these individuals, we are their only lifeline to the real world. There's always a story. A lot of them don't have family. The friends they have are minimal to who lives at the facility. And so that doesn't help them get outside into the real world. And so our connection with the Medicaid program allows these individuals to have some normalcy to their life. During the pandemic that took place, you talked about loneliness. And I reminded people there's a lot worse things to die of with COVID, and depression and loneliness was huge during that period of time. I know I had a few clients that I'd go visit at a care center and it was through a window. And I would just call them on the phone and talk to them through a window because that was better than nothing. Some of our contracts were picking up food for them and bringing it back to the facilities, which was bittersweet. We had some facilities that really controlled what they could eat, when they could eat it, and when they could buy it, which was disheartening because these individuals, maybe that's what they needed to survive another week was a six-pack of Coke and some brownies. And yet some of these facilities were really controlling when we could go shopping for them. And so that was really heartbreaking during that period of time. But I was grateful for this program that allowed us to be able to do these services for these individuals where without us, loneliness can definitely kill you.
I won't forget how some of these places treated some of our seniors. I won't forget it. And a
Yeah.
lot of us should not forget. It's far too soon to forget what happened in some of these places.
Absolutely. My company actually doubles during that time. Because I have a personal care license, I wasn't so tied down to the government as home health agencies or hospitals were tied down to all the restrictions and guidelines that were coming through the government. And so my company actually doubled in size with clients because of that, because I didn't have all those restrictions. And so many people were like, hey, I'm not sending my family member to a care center. I want that in-home service where I can keep a little bit more control and be with my mom or my dad when they die, where so many of these people lost their family members without even being able to say goodbye because the assisted livings, the care centers and rightfully it was a horrible disease and it was killing people's life, killing people. But these families losing their loved ones, not being able to say goodbye to a family member, I can't even imagine how heartbreaking that would have been.
Yeah. Okay. So you're really busy, aren't you?
I would say I'm a little busy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we met for the first time,
Mhm,
you and I, because I've met some other people in your
mhm.
company at one of the senior expos. I'm trying to remember
Yep,
which one. Maybe the
it was
Davis
the
one.
one. Yep, mhm, yep,
I think that was the
yep,
one we met at. I think the other question I had for you, and probably people watching this would ask, you talk about how, you shifted from profit to nonprofit, and you talked about, I think you mentioned the UTA grant and some things. So it sounds obviously like money is a thing that's going to come up for some of these seniors. So if someone's watching this, they might be able to get some of your services through their insurance or through some sort of other program. Maybe you could talk about some of those services and
yes,
programs.
absolutely. I'm contracted with Davis, Weaver, and it's called Bragg, which is box elder and cash. I'm in the process of getting a county contract with Uinta and Salt Lake City. Those contracts are for individuals. They have to, because they're government funded programs, they have to meet certain criterias, which means they have to prove that their income and their financials are within a certain allotment. But I always tell people when they call me, information is free because I'm always about trying to find resources to help individuals. I help individuals get like the renter's refund, the HEAP program, if they need help getting on Medicaid, food stamps. And then after that, I've got on with TriWest, which is the new insurance I just got on, which is a military one. And we're trying with a couple of other ones. But yeah, I'm always trying to find any avenue I can first to pay for these. Then after that, we do what we call a sliding scale. And if they can't afford what our normal rate is, then I ask them for their financial statements. And then depending on where they fall within our bracket, then we charge according to our sliding scale. And I'm not gonna lie, there's some individuals that pay nothing. And then there's some that pay the full amount. So we just base it. The biggest challenge is finding grants to help fill in the gaps. And trying to get grants for seniors is hard. It's a lot harder than you think. I know someone told me when I went nonprofit that, hey, Susie, it's going to be really hard and a lot of work. I'm not afraid of things being hard and I'm not afraid of a lot of work. You probably know this as much as anybody is there's not a huge market in senior care. I think the individuals who make money are probably hospice, and even them, I think, struggle from day to day. I know I just heard of a local agency that is closing their doors at the end of March. And I'm not going to lie, it makes me sad because I don't think there's one agency out there that's going to make it. I think we all need each other. We all contribute and have resources and services we provide that really complement each other. And I think when anybody closes their doors, I think it's sad for all of us.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you talk about how it, there's not a lot out there when there's such a big need, especially in the coming years. There's going to be an even bigger need, and we still just don't have a lot of things in place, especially in Utah. It's really needed, and I wish that more people thought of and what's coming for so many seniors and just our society. Yeah, the grants, grant writing is never fun. I've never been a part of it, but I've been involved with some nonprofits. I think another question I have for you, and then we'll probably wrap up, is as you expanded your business in the past 12 years, initially just you and the one client, gosh, did you ever see it being what it is today? Did you ever have that dream or goal, or is this just happened for you, Susie?
Yeah. No, it's funny when I first started, I thought, oh, if I could just make X amount of dollars a month. And then when I went nonprofit, I had to project what I'd see myself in 3 years. And I'll be honest, the dollar amounts I put on the form, I thought were just arbitrary numbers. I'm like, who would ever make that kind of money? And as a company, we do well. But I'll be honest, my payroll is my greatest expense each month. That's where my money goes to. And my greatest asset, and you mentioned this earlier in in our podcast, is no one owns me. And so I don't have any franchise fees. You know, I run my business out of my home and I can decide what my salary is. And I'll be honest, my salary isn't what you would think it would be as someone who's a CEO over a multi-million dollar company. But my greatest asset in my company are my employees and the clients. I always tell people I have a twofold mission. My first mission, of course, is to care for the seniors, disabled, and veterans within our communities. And then the second one is to provide a job for people who want to do this because we hire people that probably wouldn't get hired anywhere else. I have an age range from 18 to 80. What is she, 83 years old that worked for me? Where some of these people may not have had a job had they not fallen upon, our laps. So, I take it very serious. And I'm so grateful for those who work for me because I can achieve the goals I have without individuals who come and believe in what and our mission that we're trying to accomplish.
I think that's great. And I've talked to so many business owners in general, and I've always heard people who started and then moved to a high levels of success, such as you have. And it's always a very similar story where just the heart changes to where it's just like, there's just this gratitude towards being able to shape the lives of employees and clients. And it's just that sense of pride and then responsibility too, as well, because we live in a time where people generally have this weird attitude towards business and self-made people, but it's like, no, this is someone who's your neighbor that pays taxes and goes to church with you and votes, and they help create jobs for your neighbor. This isn't McDonald's. This isn't Walmart. And this is literally your neighbor. Don't lump them in with that type of company. What I take from our conversation is you saw a need within the senior space, and that still is a big need, and continue to grow it. and continue to innovate it, not only in terms of the financial needs of those clients, but also, and I'm not jealous of this, but I commend you for this, coordinating those efforts with the government to actually make them allocate tax dollars to help these people. To me, that's an appropriate use of tax dollars. I'd rather it go to seniors here than those tax dollars be continually sent to other countries. So again, another example of a local business that is making sure that my money that I spent out of my pocket here for, say, my house is being spent for someone to actually be able to drive to the doctor or to help them clean their house so it doesn't fall completely apart and they get sick, or they fall and literally break their hip, or fall and pass away, which I've seen all those things, unfortunately. Again, I commend you for that. I think it's worth saying out loud for people who watch this.
Thank you. I totally agree. It's not me. This is not my company. This is a company that a lot of individuals within the company has made it what it is. I tell my employees all the time, they are the face of my company. They can either make it or break it for me. And when they're out in the community and the way they drive and how they interact with people is what builds my company up. And I say mine very loosely because it really is a community event. And a lot of people have helped me get to this. And it sometimes is mind boggling to think where I am and where we could go. And so I'm grateful for people like you that see that. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. We're pretty much at our time, but I'm curious if you had any closing thoughts. If so, I'd love for you to share them. And then if you do, or if not, either way, also tell us how best to find you online and how best to contact you.
Okay, awesome. I just want to thank this opportunity because I totally believe in what we are trying to achieve. And I've realized in this industry that it takes all of us. And like I said earlier, information is free. You can contact me at 801-540-2077 or my website, which is susyseniorservices.org. We are on social medias. We are on Facebook, we're on TikTok and Instagram. So come check us out. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.